Most companies spend decades trying to destroy their competition. Samsung spends decades tax farming them. If you own an iPhone 15 Pro, you're carrying a Samsung-made OLED panel that costs roughly $110. That's 20% of the hardware value going straight to a primary rival. It's a beautiful, parasitic business model. You sue your neighbor for patent infringement at 10 a.m. and then collect a massive royalty check from him at 6 p.m.
Just give me my money.
In the silicon world, being everyone's rival is a headache, but being everyone's landlord is a fortune. Samsung doesn't actually need to win the smartphone race. They just need to collect a commission from whoever does, which, for the record, is a much easier way to make $1 billion. The kitchen paradox. Imagine you are Apple, a chef with a secret recipe worth $1 trillion. But the only kitchen big enough to cook it is owned by the guy who just opened a burger joint across the street. To understand Samsung's crisis, look at the kitchen and restaurant problem. There is TSMC, the pure-play kitchen. They don't have a menu, they don't have a brand, and they never try to steal your customers. They are the perfect invisible servant. Then there is Samsung. Their kitchen is state-of-the-art, but Samsung also owns a massive fast food chain right across the street from yours. Handing your chip blueprints to Samsung is like asking a professional burglar to house-sit for the weekend, because of course they'll make a copy of your keys. Everyone does. The washing machine subsidy. Samsung isn't a tech company. It's a family-run bank that happens to make smartphones. In the real world, if your chip division loses $5 billion, you go home. At Samsung, you just check the other pocket. This is the chaebol system. While the front door sells you a phone, the back door is building massive oil tankers and managing the life insurance premiums of a nation. Somewhere in the world, a family buys a Samsung refrigerator. Somewhere else, that money quietly helps finance a 3-nanometer chip factory. With a $44 billion annual capex, they aren't looking for a profit this quarter. They are waiting for their competitors to run out of oxygen. They don't need to be the best. They just need to afford to outlast your funeral. The iPhone Alimony. The relationship between Apple and Samsung is the most expensive toxic marriage in history. In the early 2010s, they were locked in a patent war that spanned 4 continents. Samsung lawyers were in court arguing that Apple didn't invent the rectangle, while in the basement, Samsung engineers were hand-delivering the processors that made the iPhone run. It was a strategic humiliation for Apple. For years, Samsung supplied nearly 70–80% of the iPhone's OLED displays, effectively collecting a foundry tax on its biggest rival. Apple spent a decade and billions of dollars on a divorce, moving their chip production to TSMC. They didn't leave because Samsung was bad at physics. They left because Samsung was too good at being a predator. Market starvation. Samsung doesn't negotiate with the market. They break it over their knee until they are the only ones left. Look at the memory market, DRAM and NAND. It's a brutal commodity-driven cycle. When prices drop, normal companies panic and cut production to save their margins. Samsung does the opposite. They flood the market. Even during the massive oversupply in 2023, Samsung kept the taps open. They intentionally drive prices so low that their competitors' profit margins turn into bloodied craters.
Fatality.
Because their checkbook is backed by an entire national economy, they can afford to lose billions for years just to starve everyone else. The market noticed immediately. It had no choice. The bureaucracy of atoms. At the 3-nanometer frontier, Samsung discovered that you can't bully a subatomic particle into working harder just because a vice president sent a mean memo. In the world of leading-edge chips, yield is the only metric that matters. If only 20% of your chips work, you aren't a tech giant. You're a very expensive landfill. Samsung is a sprawling, top-down bureaucracy. The same corporate culture that builds cargo ships is trying to manipulate atoms. That lack of hyperfocus is lethal. While TSMC's engineers live in a state of operational intensity that borders on a cult, Samsung's decision-making gets caught in a centralized hierarchy where bad news is often buried. NVIDIA moved some production to Samsung to save money, then returned to TSMC almost immediately. Physics didn't care about the corporate memo. The HBM humiliation. For the first time in a generation, the king of memory was outplayed by its smaller rival because it was too busy admiring its own throne. The AI boom led by NVIDIA created a desperate need for HBM, high bandwidth memory. Samsung, paralyzed by its own size, missed the window. They assumed they could just show up late and dominate by sheer mass. Instead, SK hynix secured the exclusive supply deal for NVIDIA's H100s. NVIDIA didn't care about Samsung's legacy or their oil tankers. They cared about who had the tech. In this industry, being distracted is a $10 billion mistake. The Texas reality check. Samsung is currently throwing $44 billion at a site in Taylor, Texas, trying to prove they can match Taiwan's manufacturing magic on American soil. But you can't buy the manufacturing reflexes of a nation. Samsung's management style is top-down and rigid. In the semiconductor world, where one mistake at 3 a.m. can ruin $100 million worth of wafers, you need engineers who are empowered to act, not bureaucrats waiting for a memo from a headquarters 7,000 miles away. The Texas experiment is proving that money is the easy part. Transplanting the culture is where the system breaks, which, for the record, is never a great sign when you've already spent the money. The dependency loop. NVIDIA owns the hype. Apple owns the consumer. TSMC owns the factory. But Samsung owns the infrastructure of dependency. They are the ultimate frenemy. Samsung became so massive that its own size started slowing it down. They are a titan trapped by their own ambition, a company so integrated that its own success is its biggest obstacle to growth. You sue them at 10 a.m., you compete with them at 2 p.m., but when you need 10 million OLED screens by next Tuesday, you have no choice but to call Seoul. Power isn't just about being the best. Sometimes, it's just about being the only one big enough to survive the wreckage you helped create. This is Broke Genius. See you in the next one.